There's a lot that I can forgive, but there needs to be conversations and then in order for reconciliation, and part of that has to be accountability.
In an unexpected exposure, Prince Harry has declared that he will break all ties with his family if Charles and Camilla refuse to follow the Queen's last wishes. What demands has Harry made? Do you think they will accept this? Join us as we uncover the last will of Queen Elizabeth, and the reasons Harry is standing on it. The last will of Queen Elizabeth. For numerous decades, the information contained in royal wills has been confidential and restricted to a select few people, hidden away in palace walls. Queen Elizabeth II will also adhere to this rule, with its specifics being guarded and concealed in line with the long-standing tradition of secrecy linked to the British monarchy. However, when Prince William purportedly chose to reveal the contents of the will, the situation deviated from the norm. This reading of the will was anything but ordinary. The royal family was taken aback by the unexpected contents of the will, which led to King Charles and Queen Camilla displaying clear signs of astonishment. People familiar with the matter disclosed that the Queen's final requests were not only shocking but also groundbreaking, as they deviated from the customary traditions and significantly influenced the monarchy's fate. The revelation created chaos within the palace, igniting debates, escalating tensions among family members, and giving rise to speculations about the royal family's future. Queen Elizabeth's will was more than just a way to divide her assets among family members. It also acted as a blueprint for the future of the monarchy. It contained decisions that could potentially change the balance of power within the royal family, leading to new roles and responsibilities. While some viewed these directives as forward-thinking and modern, others found them unsettling. High-ranking royals were rumored to have conflicting opinions about the potential outcomes of the Queen's wishes. Was this document the start of a new era, or would it further strain the already fragile relationships within the royal family? Prince William's decision to reveal the will went beyond just being open. It was a bold move that highlighted his growing influence within the family. By choosing this path, he demonstrated a willingness to challenge traditional norms, even in the face of possible backlash. The disclosure of the will stirred strong emotions, leading some family members to reportedly shed tears as they realized the significance of the Queen's final thoughts. Nonetheless, when he displayed his bravery, there were consequences, as not all were in favor of his candidness. An unexpected finding was related to Balmoral Castle, a cherished royal estate in Scotland. Normally, properties like Balmoral follow a tradition of being passed down through generations. However, the Queen's final desires are said to have gone against this usual custom. The recent rearrangement of the Balmoral estate caught the attention of both the family members and avid royal watchers. Choosing a different recipient than expected could indicate a significant shift in the royal hierarchy. The motives behind this decision are unclear. Was it a strategic move for the monarchy's future? Or a choice driven by the Queen's personal feelings? Some family members were unhappy with the change even though the reason behind it was unclear, leading to tense private discussions filled with frustration and resentment. The Queen's substantial personal wealth and properties led to disagreements. Her vast collection of art, jewelry, and treasured possessions were distributed in surprising manners, leading to suspicions of favoritism and hidden motives. The allocation of the Queen's jewelry sparked controversy, especially regarding pieces that were expected to be passed down to Catherine, Princess of Wales. However, these items ended up in the hands of others, leaving Catherine disappointed and causing speculation within the royal circle. Queen Camilla's involvement in making decisions generated interest and debate among the people. Many questioned whether her agenda influenced the choices made or if there was a larger scheme to safeguard her and her family's status. The ambiguity only fueled further speculation, escalating the tensions within the royal family. The aftermath of the will's revelations continues to stir up disruptions within the royal household. In a family recognized for its unity, these sudden and unexpected changes have put their ability to maintain a seamless image to the world to the test. While the specifics of the Queen's final desires may still be unknown, it is clear that her intentions have had a significant influence. They have brought to light rifts within the family, sparked new debates on inheritance and power, and created doubts about the future of the monarchy. Prince William's decision to reveal the contents of the will was a bold move, showing his willingness to embrace transparency and modernize the institution. However, this move also placed him in the middle of a heated debate, with some family members opposing the idea of full disclosure. Before we delve into the issues that arose from this will and Prince Harry's threat, let's take a look at the details of the Queen's demise. The death of the longest-reigning monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, died on September 8, 2022, marking the end of a 70-year reign as the longest-serving British monarch. She symbolized stability in a changing world. She passed away peacefully at the age of 96 at Balmoral Castle in Scotland, surrounded by loved ones. Her death was mourned globally as people remembered her remarkable life and the lasting influence she had. Most people were familiar with Queen Elizabeth as the only monarch during their lifetime, ruling for 70 years, which exceeded even Queen Victoria's reign. She witnessed significant historical events, remaining a consistent figure from the aftermath of World War II to the era of digital technology. While her death was anticipated, there was a deep sense of grief for the enduring symbols she embodied. Leading up to her passing, worries about her well-being escalated as she held a meeting with the new Prime Minister Liz Truss at Balmoral Castle instead of Buckingham Palace because of her deteriorating ability to move. While her loved ones were by her side in her last moments, a few, such as Prince William and Prince Andrew, arrived after she had already passed. As a result, plans for Operation London Bridge and Operation Unicorn were put into motion to oversee the grieving period. After the Queen's passing in Scotland, her body was transported to the ballroom in Balmoral Castle and then to the Palace of Holyrood House in Edinburgh for a dignified march down the Royal Mile. Mourners gathered at St. Giles's Cathedral to honor her before she began her journey to London. Her coffin was taken to Buckingham Palace and later moved to Westminster Hall in London, where it was on display for 4 days while a large number of people came to pay their respects. The vigil was characterized by a sense of togetherness and deep emotion, with special units providing security and members of the royal family paying their respects. The official funeral ceremony was held at Westminster Abbey on the 19th of September, with the attendance of leaders from around the world, important figures, and other members of royal families. After the elaborate state funeral, Queen Elizabeth was interred in a secluded service at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. She was laid to rest in the chapel dedicated to King George IV, bringing her back together with her deceased husband, parents, and sister in a familial gathering at the spot where she would be buried for eternity. The news of her death resulted in a global outpouring of sorrow and admiration, with public areas adorned with blooms and demonstrations of reverence for her role as a leader. World leaders commended Queen Elizabeth for her unwavering commitment and devotion to duty, recognizing her skill in forging connections with individuals from diverse backgrounds and perspectives. Following her reign, King Charles III assumed the throne, ushering in a fresh era for the monarchy while upholding the values of service and responsibility established by his mother. The influence of Queen Elizabeth's accomplishments would persist within the monarchy, serving as a benchmark for forthcoming generations. Prince William entered the world on June 21, 1982, at St. Mary's Hospital in London, making headlines as the initial offspring of Charles, Prince of Wales, and Diana, Princess of Wales. Dubbed with the moniker William Arthur Philip Lewis, it was evident that his path would veer significantly from the common man. He was baptized in the music room at Buckingham Palace on August 4, which happened to be the Queen Mother's 82nd birthday. Former King Constantine of Greece and Lady Susan Hussey were his godparents, highlighting the high hopes and pressure on him as the first Prince of Wales's child in 7 decades. Since he was young, Prince William was exposed to the public eye, joining his parents on official trips to Australia and New Zealand when he was only 9 months old. This departure from the usual royal customs highlighted Diana and Charles's modern parenting style. Living between Kensington Palace and Highgrove House allowed him to witness a mix of royal opulence and countryside charm. Despite living in luxury, Diana was determined to give her sons a down-to-earth upbringing, exposing them to life outside the palace walls and instilling empathy for others in need. Referred to as Wills at Kensington Palace and Wombat by his mother Diana, William's childhood was characterized by his vibrant yet introspective personality, showing remarkable maturity for his age. He offered emotional support to his mother during her struggles. William began his official duties as a member of the royal family in 1991, starting with a visit to Llandaff Cathedral in Wales and a trip to Canada to showcase his charm and youthful energy to the public. These early experiences helped him understand the responsibilities of being a working royal. Despite this, life behind the scenes was becoming increasingly complicated as his parents' tumultuous marriage ended in divorce in 1996. Tragedy struck just a year later when Diana died in a car accident in Paris. William was only 15 at the time, with his brother Harry being just 12. The world watched as the young princes grieved in public, with news of their mother's death reaching them at Balmoral Castle. The days following were filled with sorrow and intense emotions, culminating in a heartbreaking moment during Diana's funeral when William and Harry walked behind her coffin in the procession. Encouraged by their grandfather, Prince Philip, the siblings showed incredible composure in the face of grief. William's education took a structured path, starting at Mrs. Minner's nursery school and moving on to Wetherby School and Ludgrove School. In 1995, he continued his studies at Eton College, breaking away from the family tradition of attending Gordonstoun, which was his father's alma mater. William thrived at Eton, showing prowess in his studies and athletic abilities, especially in swimming and water polo. He found a sense of belonging among his classmates, who accepted him as just another student. While at Eton, his relationship with his grandmother Queen Elizabeth II grew stronger. She frequently invited him to Windsor Castle for tea, offering guidance and advice on his future responsibilities. William decided to take a year off after finishing school at Eton, wanting to expand his horizons beyond the confines of the palace. During this time, he involved himself in military exercises in Biz, worked on farms in England, and traveled extensively through Africa. These experiences helped him see the world in a new light and strengthened his belief in the importance of duty. In 2001, William started studying at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. At first, he focused on art history but eventually switched to geography. Attending university gave him a chance to experience a more ordinary life without the constant attention of the media. It was at St. Andrews where he first encountered Catherine Middleton, also known as Kate. Over time, their friendship blossomed into a romantic relationship that caught the attention of the public. Although they kept their relationship out of the spotlight for many years, it became clear that Kate would have a major impact on William's life. William completed his Master of Arts degree in 2005, signifying a major achievement in his transition to adulthood. After finishing university, he decided to join the military. Following his time at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, William became a commissioned officer in the British Army in December 2006. He started his military career with the Household Cavalry and later trained as a helicopter pilot with the Royal Air Force Search and Rescue Force. He spent 4 years from 2010 to 2013 as a search and rescue pilot, participating in important missions and demonstrating his dedication to service. His time in the military helped him acquire leadership abilities and a deep admiration for those who serve their nation. William faced the challenge of meeting public expectations while also focusing on his personal growth during his early years. His mother's influence shaped his empathy and commitment to societal issues. As he transitioned into full-time royal duties, he focused on issues such as raising awareness about mental health, helping the homeless, and preserving wildlife. His ability to connect with people in a genuine way made him a well-liked and respected figure. In 2011, William and Kate Middleton exchanged vows in a grand ceremony held at Westminster Abbey. The marriage was viewed by a global audience, signaling a new beginning in his life. Taking on the roles of husband and later a father to Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, William embraced the responsibilities that came with both family life and royal obligations. After the death of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022, the burden of duty became even more pronounced. With his father Charles ascending the throne, William found himself one step closer to his future as a monarch. As the Prince of Wales, he now faces additional pressures and expectations, but his experiences have prepared him for this path ahead. The new reigning monarch after the Queen, Queen Elizabeth II's reign lasted over 70 years, ultimately coming to an end with her passing on September 8, 2022. Throughout her time as monarch, she provided a sense of stability that bridged the gap between post-war reconstruction and the digital age, leaving a lasting impact on British history. Her death signified the conclusion of a momentous era in global history rather than simply the end of a ruler's life. Following the death of the Queen, the entire United Kingdom observed a time of national mourning. The public stopped to reflect on the departure of a long-standing leader. Flags were lowered, gatherings were postponed, and businesses made changes to pay tribute. People from all over the country came together to commemorate Queen Elizabeth's influence. In the streets of London, a crowd gathered outside Buckingham Palace, leaving behind tokens of remembrance such as flowers, letters, and lit candles. Despite never having encountered the Queen, many individuals experienced a deep sense of sorrow, some grieving privately while others openly shedding tears. The Queen's state funeral at Westminster Abbey was a momentous event viewed by millions globally. Designated as a national holiday, the proceedings underscored her influence beyond the borders of the United Kingdom, drawing world leaders to pay their respects. The elaborate ceremony, rich in long-standing customs, underscored the extensive historical legacy of the British monarchy. When Queen Elizabeth died, her son Charles became King Charles III. During his first speech as king, he paid tribute to his mother's devoted service. The televised proclamation ceremony marked the beginning of his reign. Taking on his mother's responsibilities was a difficult transition for King Charles III despite being prepared for it his whole life. The Queen's dedication and strength had set a high bar that was hard to live up to. During his first time as a monarch, he dedicated himself to interacting with the public and dignitaries, acknowledging their sorrow while working to instill confidence in them concerning the future of the royal family. Saw Charles as the legitimate heir, there were doubts about his ability to govern with the same elegance and intelligence as his mother. Recognized for his support of environmental issues and promoting dialogue among different faiths, he now confronted the task of demonstrating his capabilities as the leader of the country in light of varying opinions on his succession. Queen Elizabeth's reign was shaped by remarkable historical events. In the year 1952, she ascended to the throne at a time when Britain was still recovering from the impacts of World War II. As the British Empire began to decline, it paved the way for the establishment of the Commonwealth, an alliance of nations based on cooperation rather than domination. The Queen was instrumental in upholding these relationships and ensuring that Britain remained influential despite its diminishing power on the world stage. During her time as Queen, Elizabeth worked with 15 prime ministers, ranging from Winston Churchill to Liz Truss. While her ceremonial role limited her political involvement, her influence was clear. By sharing her wisdom and guidance in frequent meetings, she offered invaluable support to her prime ministers. In addition to her political responsibilities, the Queen was celebrated for her hobbies and passions, which allowed her to form strong connections with the public. Queen Elizabeth II was widely recognized for her love of horses and horse racing, along with her knowledge of breeding in the field. Her corgis were famous as well, often spotted by her side during public appearances. She had a talent for infusing royal traditions with a sense of warmth, which endeared her to many. Every year, her Christmas speeches reached millions of individuals, conveying messages of optimism and unity. These simple acts helped her cultivate a strong connection with the public, despite the perception of the monarchy as detached and imposing. After the death of Queen Elizabeth II, doubts arose about what would happen to the monarchy in the future. While some saw the monarchy as a link to Britain's past, others believed it no longer had a place in contemporary society. The push to abolish the monarchy gained momentum, particularly in Commonwealth nations reconsidering their ties to the British crown. King Charles III now finds himself in the position of needing to update the monarchy while still respecting its long-established customs. He had gained admiration from the young generation for his support towards environmental issues, but his competence in fulfilling the responsibilities of a king was still under scrutiny. The situation of the royal family was also a cause for concern. Public disputes within the family over the years, such as Prince Andrew's scandals and Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's choice to scale back on royal duties, had become widely known. The family had difficulty in projecting a united image, and there were doubts about Charles's ability to reconcile the conflicts. Queen Camilla's recent promotion stirred up discussions among the public. While some fans of the royal family had warmed up to her, there were still those who couldn't help but draw comparisons to Princess Diana. The choice to title her as Queen rather than Queen Consort caused controversy and fueled rumors about the dynamics of authority within the royal family. Despite ongoing homage to Queen Elizabeth, her likeness was gradually replaced by King Charles III on currency, reflecting a shift in leadership. Stamps featuring her image became highly valued by collectors, seen as mementos of her rule. Exhibitions were organized by museums and public organizations to celebrate her, displaying various memorabilia from her days as queen. Educational institutions incorporated teachings about her impact on British history to ensure that the youth recognized her significance. Countries within the Commonwealth each held their remembrance events. Some countries confirmed their allegiance to the royal family, while others questioned the need to keep their constitutional connections with Britain or strive for complete self-governance. Nations such as Australia, Canada, and Jamaica deliberated on their upcoming interactions with the British king or queen. As King Charles III began his rule, people worldwide watched attentively. They wondered whether he would adhere to the customs of his mother's era while also adapting to the changing demands of modern society. Could the monarchy maintain its power, or would it encounter new obstacles? The death of Queen Elizabeth II marked a crucial point for the monarchy. Despite being a symbol of stability, the future of the institution was now filled with uncertainties. The next few years would be crucial in deciding if the royal family could continue to hold their place in British society, or if adjustments were needed. Now, let's take a look at the tensions this will create, and if it will ever be resolved. The growing family tensions arose from the Queen's last will. The Queen's last wishes were meant to remain private, kept safe in the palace. However, Prince William and Harry were adamant about ensuring that her wishes were respected. When the details were leaked, it caused a ripple effect within the royal family. Some were surprised, others were outraged, and a few saw it as a chance to gain more control. But the most significant response came from Harry, who stated that he would sever all ties with his father and stepmother if they did not adhere to the Queen's final decisions. He meant business when he threatened to leave the family for good. Before we discuss the matter further, it's important to note that the Queen's last wishes contained a shocking truth that could potentially divide the royal family. Family, this is just the beginning of surprising revelations that will leave you in awe. The will was not only about dividing wealth, but it also outlined the future of the monarchy. The Queen had made specific choices about who should inherit certain properties, titles, and duties. Balmoral Castle, a historical treasure with strong family ties, was at the heart of the conflict. Tradition required certain actions to be taken. King Charles was supposed to receive the inheritance, but the Queen had different ideas. It is rumored that she preferred William to receive it, which caused a commotion in the palace. Charles and Camilla were not happy with this decision, which led to tension with Harry and William. The distribution of jewelry also became a point of contention. It was believed that Princess Catherine would inherit the Queen's valuable pieces, but the will apparently changed this. Some items were given to surprising individuals, while others were stopped from reaching their rightful owners. Suspicions arose about Camilla's involvement in this redistribution for personal gain. The whispers of manipulation continued to intensify, fueling existing tensions that escalated as Camilla's influence became more apparent. Allegations arose suggesting she was involved in manipulating parts of the will to ensure the new king and her loyal followers retained control of crucial assets. Concerns grew over her increasingly powerful position in the palace, prompting questions about whether she was reshaping the future of the monarchy according to her desires. Doubts emerged regarding whether the Queen's dying wishes had been altered, leading Harry to suspect something was amiss. Meanwhile, William struggled with his conflicts within the palace. As Harry made preparations for more drastic actions, he remained steadfast in his dedication to his grandmother's legacy. If the monarchy chose not to respect her last wishes, he felt no need to remain connected to the establishment. He had already started to separate himself from the royal apparatus, but now he was prepared to completely break away. If the king and Camilla aimed to alter history, the monarch and Camilla were not willing to concede. Their grasp on the monarchy was already delicate, and giving in to Harry and William's requests would show vulnerability. However, opposing the Queen's desires went beyond just a struggle for control. The decision was seen as risky, considering the public's already divided opinion on the leadership. Ignoring the Queen's final wishes could have severe consequences, potentially leading to the monarchy's downfall. Supporters of the royals were quick to question the king's judgment, wondering if he was right to go against his mother's desires. Trust in the royal family had been weakened in the past, but this instance felt more impactful. The public had suspicions about power struggles and manipulation within the monarchy, and now these concerns were confirmed for all to see. The controversy over the Queen's will expose the underlying issues within the royal family, making them impossible to conceal any longer. One of the most contentious decisions made was the rumored selling of select valuable horses owned by the Queen, which were considered significant pieces of history that she had carefully preserved. Princess Anne, who is recognized for her commitment to upholding tradition, was extremely angry about this action. She had cautioned the king about the risks associated with disregarding their mother's desires, but he chose not to heed her advice. Even among his closest advisers, there were signs of divisions beginning to form. The Queen's supposed intentions to bring unity ultimately resulted in sparking a conflict that deeply impacted the royal family. The disagreement went beyond the monarchy's fate, it became personal for Harry. He viewed it as a profound betrayal, not only towards the Queen but also towards the principles she believed in. If those in authority were ready to disregard her final wishes for their gain, what other actions were they capable of? This wasn't solely about wealth or possessions. It was about integrity, heritage, and the shattered trust that could not be fixed. The complication heightened when Camilla took a step that was perceived by many as a direct power move. By renouncing the title of Queen Consort, she began identifying herself simply as Queen. Camilla's actions were not just symbolic. They clearly communicated her desire for full recognition as the ruling queen instead of simply standing by the king. This decision caused shock within the royal family and even made loyal supporters question if it was part of a larger plan. As the battle over the will continued, Harry faced a choice: to keep fighting for the Queen's legacy or to completely leave the monarchy. Despite stepping away from royal duties, this decision carried more weight, as he felt that if those in power did not honor the Queen's wishes, they could no longer be considered family in his eyes. He had struggled for years to find a middle ground between fulfilling his responsibilities and enjoying personal liberty, but now he had reached a point where he had nothing left to risk. The Queen had entrusted her family to uphold her legacy, but in his perspective, that trust had been betrayed. The king is confronted with the harsh reality that being a monarch in the current times is far more complex than it once was. The delicate balance between upholding tradition and meeting modern expectations is constantly changing, and the public is scrutinizing closely. With the distribution of wealth evolving and responsibilities shifting hands, younger members of the royal family are taking on more significant roles. This shift raises the question of whether the monarchy is evolving with the times or beginning to crumble. While the royal family has always faced pressure, the visible cracks are now more pronounced than ever before. The Queen's last desires created a lasting impact, leading to unexpected changes. As Prince William steps into a more prominent role, the transformation in the royal sphere is evident. But the extent of his influence on his destiny remains uncertain.